Good morning from Panhandle Outdoors with Winston Chester. Panhandle Outdoors, your source for fishing, hunting, and information for folks who enjoy the great outdoors. Now sit back, relax. It's Panhandle Outdoors.
Good morning, folks. Welcome to Panhandle Outdoors. I'm Winston Chester. Glad you're here this morning. Got a great show lined up. Got a special guest here in the studio. But first, our weather brought to us by Haney Technical Center at the corner of Baldwin Road and Highway 77. It's going to be still in a cool snap. Only going to get a highs of 88 today, low 78, so a little 10-degree span. It's still going to be warm, but it's not going to be blazing hot like it has been. Water temperature, we still have it up around 80 or down to around 80 degrees, and that's that current of cool water coming through there. Now, take a look at our tide. I'm in our river readings. The Apalachicola, Bluntstown reading is just level off at a 4.7. And the Choctawhatchee at Caryville, it's dropping. It's at a 3 point. I mean, it's really a slow drop to it, though. It's at a 3.6 right there, and in good shape. Both rivers are in good shape for if you want to fish the rivers this weekend. It'll be a great time to do it. Got about a 30 to 40% chance of rain today, so be careful of those thunderstorms and all. Our tide chart, take a look at it, brought to us by Kent Forest Lawn Funeral Home and Cemetery. It's there on your screen there, and it is July the 10th. And we have some great strong tides here. A high tide at 7:59 a.m. and a low tide at 6:50 tonight. We've got a 2-foot range, and I've noticed this time of year we have these morning tides, and they're really high. There's been some really good fishing in the bay systems, St. Joe Bay and North Bay, West Bay, East Bay. There's been some really good fishing with kayakers and flats boats out there. So it's a good time to fish. Marine forecast will be west-southwest at about 10. Okay. Takes care of our outdoor weather. Let's take our break and we'll be right back with our guest. All right, welcome back and welcome Lieutenant Stan Kirkland.
Good morning. Good morning, Winston. Good to see you.
Good seeing you. And listen, I don't know if y'all all know this, but Stan's sort of getting ready to retire now, and asked him about how much longer. He didn't know exactly, but how much longer?
I think 5 months, 24 days. Not.
So he doesn't know exactly. And I was asking him about, who's going to take your place and all. Cause that's a great job. And you said some guy applied. He wanted your job because he won't have to work or something.
Yeah,
what
he said he wanted the job, but he didn't want to have to work. He just wanted the salary. And I said, well,
there you go.
I said, put your application in. Let's see where it goes. I said, anyway, but. No, it's been a good career, but I still got a few months left. I'm gonna be around a little longer. So
yeah, we got to put up with you a little bit longer.
Yeah, you'll have to put up with me, but I got to figure out who's gonna come in here and work with you. So
you got it. Listen, you're leaving some big shoes to fill.
I
mean, you really are. So,
thank you, Winston.
We're gonna keep you on retainer and let you come in on occasion, especially during turkey season and all. Can we get you during turkey season?
Well, we need to do it before turkey season. I'm going to be busy during turkey season. I can see that coming.
Listen, we got all kind of stuff to go over. We're not going to have time to cover it all, but let's start with the net decision. You were telling me a little bit about that.
Well, Winston, yesterday the District Court of Appeals returned their ruling, and they basically stayed, they are not stayed. They overturned the judge's order. There was a circuit judge in Leon County that had basically thrown out the constitutional amendment about, it was last fall anyway, and said the constitutional amendment was done wrong and that the state had erred and anything. And there's been quite a number of court challenges, but the bottom line is the District Court of Appeals immediately or within a week, they stayed her order while they reviewed her decision. Mm-hmm. They came back yesterday and they said, and it was released yesterday morning, that the net limitation amendment is full in effect. Her decision basically was overturned, and so we're going forward just like we've always been. You cannot use entangling nets to take mullet. You still can use cast nets, but you can't go. We're not going to go back. There's been, I think, close to 20 court challenges to the net limitation amendment in Florida, but we're going to enforce the net limitation amendment. So that's where we are.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, so that's all settled now.
That was all settled, and that was like I say, that was yesterday, and that's in the news all over.
All right, what else we got?
Well, Winston, it was a rough weekend. I don't know if you've talked about this already, but it was this past over the 4th of July period was a rough time.
We have not talked about it. I was waiting till you got on here because I knew you had some stuff.
Yeah, and even Captain Paramore will have more than I did because he knows better than I do about the DUI cases they made and all. They really did an intensive. I don't want to call it a sweep, but they did a lot of intensive work looking for boaters under the influence. So he'll know more about that. But we had one fatality in Escambia County. 4 guys went out in a boat at 1:15 in the morning to cross Escambia Bay or Pensacola Bay, and when they got to the other side of the bay, the guy in the back's missing, and they didn't even know he had fallen out of the boat. Couldn't swim, no life jacket, and so many of these cases, just like this, you know, if people would simply wear their life jacket, you go to any of your better store, I shouldn't say better, you go to any of the stores that sell better products for like the modern life jackets and all. There's the inflatables now. They're wonderful. I wear one when I go out, and if that motor's cranked, I'm gonna have on my life jacket. But anyway, one fatality there.
I'm glad you said that because I'm starting this year to do the same thing. I know it's a hard habit to get into, but I'm starting to do it. And a gal bought me one for Father's Day, a real nice inflatable, and I'm fragile. I'm gonna start using it all the time. And because so many people now, I go with a lot of different people. So many people go fast.
Do you know we work a surprising number of incidents where people are losing their life in kayak accidents now. They're rolling them, flipping them, and you know, life jacket would save their life, and they're not wearing them. Did you know that there's 2 kinds of inflatables, automatic and manual? Do you know, is yours a manual
it's
or
going to be a manual. It's going to be a manual.
Did you know that our pilots are not allowed to wear the automatic? You know why?
Why?
If the plane or helicopter goes down in water, the automatic will go off inside the craft and they won't be able to get out. So that's why.
I know that.
And first time I rode, they asked me, or not the first time, but the last time I rode, they asked me, "Is your jacket inflatable?" Or I said, "Well, it's manual. It's good. You're good to go." And I'll ask why. So anyway, it makes sense. So anyway, yeah.
But on an accident.
And then we had 4 fatalities. Winston down in the Miami area. There were 8 people that were injured. I think there were yesterday or day before I checked, there were 2 that were critical still. So that was, and then there was 1 or 2 others in Central Florida where people died in boating accidents. So it was a tough weekend. We had 5 or 6 fatalities this weekend in boating accidents. Of course, Florida, we boat 12 months out of the year. So it was a rough weekend.
Yeah, and a lot of times there's alcohol involved in those.
And that's a good point. A surprising number of these, and I got a feeling that when some of the people involved, when the blood alcohol comes back, when that test comes back, they're going to be facing additional charges for the operator cannot be under the influence. The law does not address a passenger, but the operator of a vessel cannot be under the influence. Yeah. And if you are, you know, you're going to get a trip to the pokey.
And I know you feel the same way I do. And the outdoors is so beautiful and it's so much fun. You're usually around family and all. And why you want to mix alcohol with a situation like that on a boat in a beautiful area? I just really have never and will never understand it.
You're exactly right. Over the weekend, I know some of the ones that were taken off the water, the operators were 3 times. There were a couple of them that were the alcohol limit was over 3 times the limit. Yeah. 3 times.
And you know, I know that's their own business and all, but when they're out there on the water and I'm out there with my family and all, that's our business. So I appreciate the FWC enforcing that.
Well, thanks, Winston.
Okay.
Thanks.
Let's take a quick break. We'll be right back. All right. So with Lieutenant Stan Crook and all kinds of stuff going on. So what you got next?
Winston, of course, the scallop season's underway. People are, what are you hearing about scalloping down in St. Joe Bay?
Okay, I'm going to give a full report on tomorrow's show, but
okay.
basically, no, we're going to cover some now.
Well,
they're small. They're small.
Yeah,
there's some out there, and one of the best examples, and keep in mind, I've talked to a bunch of people. I've been by press nails, I go to boat ramps, and of course, we go out there ourselves a couple of times to get some July 4th, so I feel like it's a pretty good consensus
right.
of opinion, and we're all saying the same thing. There's some out there, but they're very small.
And they really need probably another month, don't they?
They really do.
That's what I'm told.
Really do, and everybody's in favor of it. I think that does it. In fact, I'll give a great example of the Musselwhite family from Port St. Joe. He said they went up there and got a 5-gallon bucket full of scallops, and after they went through them, he said they kept 16. 16 were big enough to keep. They released the rest of them and all.
Wow.
So that's why we were the same way. We'll talk more about this on the show tomorrow, but they're small.
Okay. Remember, if you do go scalloping, that you've got to use the diver's down flag. Mm-hmm. Most people now understand that, but occasionally we'll run into somebody that the officers will run into somebody that doesn't. But you've got to have a diver's down flag. You've either got to tow it if you're by yourself or there's one or two of you and you stay close together. You can tow a diver's down flag. Mm-hmm. It can be 12 by 12 inches, the old style. But if you put it on your boat, it's got to be the bigger one, the 20 by 24. Again, you've got to stay. The law says you have to stay within 300 feet of your boat. I would strongly recommend you stay closer than that to your boat, because there's particular during some of these weekends and pretty times after it's rained during the week and people want to get out. There's a lot of people zipping across the bay in boats, and you really need to stay close to that.
Well, a great example. Let me say this: there's always one idiot in the group, and I really mean that. We were out there the other day, and there were people all around, and here come one moron just flying through everybody, and I just always happens every year. There's just one of them, and it doesn't take but one.
Well, we had a child hit the other day in Choctawhatchee Bay, a young boy, 12-year-old boy that was hit, where a boat now. This family was not, it was only this child was snorkeling next to his dad on the shoreline, but a boat came so close to the shoreline it struck the child in waist-deep water. And the child is in critical condition at Sacred Heart Hospital, got numerous broken bones, prop cuts. He faces, he's got some infection now. He really faces a long, long battle, and it's because of somebody on a boat that got really, really on top of the shoreline trying to hug some trough that was, only a few feet from the shoreline.
So y'all do have the people that are involved in it? I mean, y'all have...
Well, Winston, let me say this. We've talked to somebody. We seized a boat. I don't know whether the boat, we had to get a warrant. That person has admitted being on the bay. Their boat matches a description. But that's kind of where we are right now. So we're still going through the investigative part of it. But anyway, we'll see how that works out.
Yeah, but that's 300 foot. People ask me all the time about how close you have to be. 300 foot, and that's the length of a football field. And I'm like you want to stay a little bit closer.
You need to stay closer, because that dive flag is your warning bell to somebody, and you need to stay close to it. They can't see you when you got a black mask on your head and you pop your head up like a turtle out here. They can't see you.
And get in the boat. A lot of times, as we're going through, and I'm on a lookout, and maybe Chip's driving, and so we have a lookout and we have a driver.
That's
because
exactly
people
what
are
you need
popping
to do.
up all the time.
Right. If they're underwater and you are moving fast, you'll be on top of them and could hit somebody. Good point to have a lookout, particularly in St. Joe Bay and points to the east down around St. Mark's, Homosassa. By the way, did you hear about the lady and her husband this weekend? Their boat blew away. They were scalloping and boat blew away. And the husband swam like half a mile to get, and finally I think he caught the boat and got back. Could not locate his wife. And so there was an all-night search. They did locate the lady the next morning. She was alive.
Wow.
I'm not sure she cooked eggs and breakfast for him the next morning.
Well, you always had a fear of doing that, but that's so different. St. Joe Bay, you sort of surrounded by, but at Homosassa, you have some open water.
Right.
So you always have that fear
and a thunderstorm blows up and that boat's not anchored, and it starts pulling the anchor. If you don't have a good anchor, it could be tough.
I've not heard about that.
Yeah, but yeah. Now,
and
Lindsay called me and told me that she still had her bag of scallops, but I think he made that up. I didn't read that anywhere. So.
Well, it don't take long to get out of the 300 feet range real quick. You can just start swimming real quick and look up, and the next time you look up, you're 300 feet away. It don't take long, so be careful of that.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And also, along the lines, while we're talking about scallops, one of the things that our agency has just done at the last meeting or 2 meetings ago, legislation that was signed by the governor's office, is to create another dive flag, a buoy essentially. And there is a company now that's making, as I understand it, they're making 3- and 4-sided dive flag buoys. So if you don't want to use a flag, you can actually use a buoy. And one of these buoys is developed by a company where this guy works. He was in a boat. He was hit in the water, lost both legs as a result of the strike. But his company is now manufacturing a buoy, a 4-sided dive flag buoy. It looks like a lantern, a big lantern, and it's fairly small. It will have a strobe light on top that can be seen from 2 miles away.
Good.
And so that will be on the market, is expected to be on the market in the next 8 to 12 weeks, and they're now approved. But they're going to be 3-sided and 4-sided, but and I'm sure the marine stores around here will be selling those before too long.
That's a good idea.
But that was signed by Governor Scott not too long ago.
Okay. All right, let's take this quick break for our final break, and we'll be right back. All right, welcome back. Let's look at our fishing game forecast first, brought to us by Mark Coward of Edgewater Beach Realty, 832-6000. Our time today exactly 11 o'clock to 1 o'clock, smack dab in the middle of the day, and 11:30 to 1:30 tonight. And one of the biggest trout my son ever caught was between 11 and 1 o'clock. So I always, a lot of times people say, beginning of the day or in the middle of the day, too hot to do anything, but on occasion, the big one's going to hit. Yep. Okay, so we got a lot more stuff to get over.
Well, just a few things, Winston. One is people sometimes call and ask about what do I do about raccoons. I got raccoons in my garbage coming around my porch. We've got a person there, a lady named Kat Kennedy at our office that talks to people, and she does a great job. But the one message she tries to get across, and we try to get across, is eliminate the food sources. That's why they're coming around. There's some food there. It's cat food, pet food, it's garbage. It's something you're throwing out that will create it may be even bird seed. These cakes, suet cakes people put up, they'll tear that down. But get rid of that. In the last few days, the folks at Camp Helen out here at the state park actually caught a guy releasing raccoons there at the park.
Really?
Yep, and you cannot do that. There is a quarantine here. There's you cannot move raccoons in Bay County because of rabies. There's been quite a number. In fact, right around the street from where I live in Lynn Haven, neighbors had a rabid raccoon that bit their dog, and the lady got scratched. Ms. Russell, Cynthia Russell, got scratched. Had to go through all these shots. That's why you cannot move them. You cannot do that. You'll be charged for doing that. So if you catch raccoons, you use these live traps, these have-a-hearts. You catch them. The raccoons under state law, if there was a no quarantine order, you could release them on site. Don't know why you'd want to catch them and release them on site, but you could. Since there's a quarantine order, you can't do that. Mm-hmm. You've either got to kill the raccoon, or you can, in counties where there's not a no quarantine order, you could relocate them if you find a landowner with 40 acres that will give you permission to release them. But you cannot do that in Bay County because of rabies. So if you catch them, you're going to have to kill them. They can be moved off site to kill them, but you cannot release them, and that's the reason is to keep from spreading rabies from
a lot of people wouldn't know that. A lot of people just don't know it.
And these parks, St. Andrews State Park, Camp Helen, down at Port St. Joe, they got all the raccoons they want. Trust me, they don't need people bringing raccoons to them, and it's illegal. So just remember that. This one just makes you shake your head, Winston. A guy was arrested in the last few days down in Marion County, but I wanted to share this, even though this is out of the viewing area. He was using poison he was killing squirrels, he was taking chickens and lacing them with this poison. I'm not even going to say what kind of poison it was. It's a pesticide. But something was killing a few of his chickens, a few of his guinea fowl, so he decided to take the law into his own hands. He killed over 100 animals, including 4 dogs, the neighbor's pet Labrador Retriever, and he would take this stuff out and put it around his property. And of course, any dog that found it would eat it. But let me just read the list of animals they found. 4 dogs, including these people's black lab that they were crazy about. He killed 4 black bears, a dozen vultures, a hawk, raccoons, numerous raccoons, coyotes, bobcats, fox, and even possum. That's just some of the carcasses. This is just a small list of some of the carcasses. He was charged with animal cruelty, unlawful use pesticide without a permit, willful want waste of wildlife. He is, the last I heard, he is in jail, and nobody has posted his bond. He's in his 70s, but that's a tough way to, to spend your 4th of July, is doing something nutty like that. That's not the first time. We've had other people, one incident I know of in Gulf County, one incident in Leon County, where people have tried to do this, and that is when you kill, when you put out that poison, not only will it kill whatever animal that ate it, but whatever vulture or hawk or eagles. The one in Leon County, eagles were dying because they were coming there feeding on the carcasses, and the bald eagles were laying there. They were either in a state of dying or they had already died, and it's a horrible death.
That's
so
awful.
don't do stuff like that. That's no place for that.
About 30 seconds.
All right, real quickly, officers rescued 4 people recently up at the Jim Woodruff Dam. They were from Georgia. It was 2 couples that their boat actually was swamped in a thunderstorm. They were fishing near the dam. They got washed to the dam, and one of the ladies went over the dam and fell on the ledge on top of the lock. And officers at 1:30 in the morning rescued all 4 of them.
Okay. I've got to get out of here.
I know it.
Thank you, buddy.
All right.
Thanks so much. Do something good for somebody today. You have a great day, and God bless.
Thanks for joining us for Panhandle Outdoors with Winston Chester. Panhandle Outdoors features hunting, fishing, and other activities and information to help you enjoy the great outdoors. Join us next time for Panhandle Outdoors.